Hello friends, PenisVonLesbian here. Today we are going to take a gander at the extended version of David's book, Rabbit Hole, Confessions of an Antichrist, which you can read for free on his website, davidshurter.com. Today we are focusing on some excerpts from pages 66 to 71 that discuss David's good friend Mark Anderson. Then we will see what reality says about David's good friend Mark Anderson. I'll give you a hint, it's something they have in common.
It was also during Project Cleanup that Mark and Walt were charged with crimes against children, which I found to be ridiculous. Mark had invited 3 hustlers to spend the night on his living room floor and had either inadvertently or intentionally touched one boy's butt. The boy's parents tried to extort money out of Mark and failed, then turned to the police and pressed charges. Suddenly, the Omaha World-Herald, whose owner Harold Anderson was reportedly involved in the Larry King, Franklin Credit Union scandal, began touting Walt, the shyest person I'd ever met, as the Pied Piper of pornography, and Mark and Walt were proclaimed as menaces to society by the local media. Mark told me that he would just try to keep his distance while his troubles played out, but everything was turning upside down and I didn't know what to think, or who to trust. Besides Mark's withdrawal, things had cooled off between me and David and BJ. Both had been deeply involved with Alan Baer and had disassociated themselves from me, probably due to secrets I knew nothing about. Despairing over my failed friendships, I once again found myself alone, miserable, and angry, with no job, no money, and no options. My mother pressed me to leave town for a while and visit Cindy, and her prodding irritated me as I saw it as yet another example of how she was trying to control my life in her newfound role as my mother. Now I realize that she was saving my life by sending me away from a situation she was afraid would somehow envelope me. Confused and a bit scared, I finally gave in and let her buy me a bus ticket to Florida. Looking back, I see that more was going on in Omaha than even I was aware of at the time, and my decision to leave probably saved my life. Having to buy a plane ticket 2 weeks in advance, I spent the next 2 weeks sobbing, waiting to fly back to Omaha to say goodbye to everyone in my life. Omaha media stories that week said David was killed by his roommate Mike James. For reasons unclear, John Joubert was convicted and sentenced to death, and Mark Anderson and Walt Carlson were convicted and sentenced to spend years in prison. No real evidence linked Mark and Walt to any crime, but Omaha had become a circus dictating justice from a kangaroo court. The fact that the parents of the boy had tried to extort money from Mark before going to the police, which came out in court, was insufficient to save he and Walt from prison. The media taught the public to associate these names and faces with crimes against children to thereby keep attention away from others who were truly guilty. 2 men and a convicted killer were sacrificed as scapegoats upon which everyone could vent anger and frustration. Convicted by the media, it worked like magic. I couldn't believe it. And Alan Baer, guilty of pandering sex with minors and of so much more, only received a $500 fine by the same judicial system. The disparity enraged me. Unable to work those 2 weeks, I was fired and felt my life was over. My despair was a living, breathing thing that dug its claws into my chest, and I often found myself doubled over on the floor, crying in fits for hours at a time. I locked myself in my room, scaring my roommate who had no clue as to what was going on. Unable to talk, I spent night after night crying myself to sleep, dreading the next day as more of the same. Finally returning to Omaha, as my cab drove through downtown, I saw the same 3 hustlers who had put Mark and Walt in prison selling themselves down on the run. Disgusted but not surprised, I stared at my hands until the cab pulled up to my mother's apartment. Drunk, my mother went on and on about David wanting to kick out the roommate who killed him. I never met Mike James, the roommate convicted of David's murder, nor did I ever want to, but soon I would have reason to be doubtful as to his guilt. Porn arrests expected to grow. Probe could branch out later. Omaha police arrested 10 of the 13 men charged Thursday in an investigation into homosexual exploitation of boys, including 3 of 4 men charged with felony sexual assault. The charges are a result of a 16-week police investigation in which Omaha police detectives interviews 200 suspects, witnesses and victims and spent hundreds of hours viewing pornographic videotapes they had seized. All of the relationships police have discovered to date have involved men and boys and have been homosexual, Captain John Mitchell said Thursday. The investigation could involve women at a later date, he said. We could branch out later, to include women, because we're only halfway through the alleged pornographic videotapes and other materials police seized, Mitchell said. We haven't closed any doors. Police said the videotapes, such as the nearly 2,000 allegedly pornographic tapes seized from one of the men's homes, were used to develop relationships. Officials said men first established casual contact with the boys, and their relationship over time led to homosexual acts. They'd show the boys cartoons, then war movies, then softcore tapes, then into the heavy male-female relationships, then all-male. Michelle said, it was just a progression. The tapes and slides police seized have been found to show both heterosexual and homosexual acts but no lesbian acts, Mitchell said. The majority of the material was homosexual in nature, he said. Nearly any kind of perversion there is, we found it, he said. We found some female animal stuff. It runs the whole gamut of perversion. Police officials said more charges and arrests in the case are certain. Felony charges. Walter Carlson, 33, of 4933 Miami Street, Winford Fryer, 44, of 2422 North 56th Street and Leo Weidenfeller, 58, of 1008 North 168th Street, appeared Thursday before Douglas County Judge John McGrath to have bail set on their felony charges. Carlson is charged with 3 felony counts of sexual assault on a child. He also is charged with multiple misdemeanor counts of showing obscene material contributing to the delinquency of a minor, indecent liberty and debauchery. Deputy County Attorney Raymond Spear said in court that Carlson's felony charges are based on the allegation that he had sexual relations with 3 boys, 2 of them 14 years old and one 12 years old. Police said many of the men charged with misdemeanors also allegedly were involved in homosexual relations with boys under the age of 18. McGrath set Carlson's bail at $100,000. Carlson said in court he is single, lives alone and works for AT&T. Fryer is charged with 1 felony count of sexual assault of a child. He also is charged with contributing to the delinquency of a minor and 2 counts of showing obscene materials to a minor. Those are misdemeanors. McGrath set Fryer's bail at $35,000. Spear said Fryer's felony charge is based on the allegation that he assaulted a 14-year-old boy. Fryer told the judge he is divorced and works for the U.S. Postal Service. Weidenfeller is charged with 1 felony count of first-degree sexual assault and 2 misdemeanor counts of contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Weidenfeller's bail was set at $50,000. He told the judge he is single, lives alone, and works in the laundry room at St. Joseph's Hospital, 4th missing man. It was disclosed at the hearing that Weidenfeller was convicted of sodomy 13 years ago. The 4th man charged with felonies in the case, 37-year-old Mark Anderson of 1305 Ames Avenue, has not been located by police. Anderson, charged 2 weeks ago with allegedly tampering with one of the witnesses in the probe, was charged Thursday with 6 counts of first-degree sexual assault and 4 counts of sexual assault of a child. A misdemeanor warrant charges him with 3 counts of showing obscene material to minors. Misdemeanor charges. Also charged with misdemeanors in the investigation, Joseph Burke, 67, of 11906 Wool Worth Avenue, multiple counts of indecent liberty with a minor, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, showing obscene material to a minor, debauchery and 21 counts of possession of child pornography. Burke, who was arrested last month when a Lincoln investigation led police to Burke's home and the discovery of alleged pornographic material, was arrested again Thursday. Ben Bruner, 48, of 4165 Cass Street, 2 misdemeanor counts of possession of child pornography. Bruner, who taught history at Westside High School for 17 years, has been absent from his job since November 25. He was not arrested Thursday. John N. Nelson, 50, of 128 North 33rd Street, 1 count of indecent liberty with a child. He was arrested Thursday. Harold Potter, 56, of 9516 Pershing Drive, 2 counts of contributing to the delinquency of a minor and 1 count of indecent liberty with a minor. He was not arrested Thursday. Alvin R. Bueller, 52, of 2405 North 52nd Street, multiple counts of indecent liberty with a child and contributing to the delinquency of a minor, arrested Thursday. Mark Woods, 34, of 2863 North 93rd Plaza, 6 counts of showing obscene material and 6 counts of contributing to the delinquency of a minor, arrested Thursday. Lawrence Reeves, 53, of 8412 North 29th Street, 1 count of indecent liberty with a minor, arrested Thursday. Harold Miller, no age given, 16106 Wright Plaza, 1 misdemeanor count of contributing to the delinquency of a minor, arrested Thursday. Don Nordbo, 39, of 3220 West Broadway, Council Bluffs, 1 misdemeanor count of contributing to the delinquency of a minor, arrested Thursday. The 9 men charged with misdemeanors only did not have to appear in court for bail hearings, and their court dates were not immediately set. Burke is the only one of the 13 charged in the production of child pornography, also a felony. He was charged last month after police found nearly 2,000 allegedly pornographic videotapes in his home. Age of boys. Police said they still must review nearly 1,000 videotapes, including some 500 which have been seized since the search of Burke's home. Dupuis Douglas County Attorney Mark Delman said the age of the boys involved determined whether the men were charged with felonies or misdemeanors. Felonies could only be charged when the alleged victims were 15 years of age or younger, Delman said. Misdemeanor charged such as debauchery, indecent liberty with minors or contributing to the delinquency of minors were filed when the boys involved were 16, 17, or 18, officials said.
I wonder what makes David scream in protest of the alleged innocence of an obviously guilty pedophile. It does make one wonder. I think we will continue to look through this lovely tome of fanciful tales and see what other verifiable bullshit we can uncover. Until next time friends, cheers.
There's a lot of crazy shit on the internet.